Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the very final match of the Pan American Trackmania Championship. We're at the grand finals. It's a rematch of the upper bracket finals. For those of you that don't remember, that was Neal, Lingo, North, and Charles. That is the order of the seeding coming into this match, because Charles technically got third place in the upper bracket finals, but North got first place in the lower bracket finals. So here we are. I believe there is a map pick system. So that would be Neal picking, then Lingo, then North, and then Charles. We'll have the option of just a couple of maps remaining for the pack.
Yep, so because of the seeding order that they came into, the order is Neal get to pick first, and he picks Kickback. Second order is by Lingo, and he picks Yoru. North picks Ping Pong, and Charles picks Artificer, which leaves E2 as the last one. So I know personally I'm not surprised. I feel like the only way we would see E2 early is if Zen's made the finals, but unfortunately he was eliminated in the last match. So I'm not surprised by the pick these guys did. If anything, what does surprise me is that I would say Lingo definitely could have been the odd man out and definitely could have picked E squared, but he has not been playing on it as well as he has been practicing. So I don't blame him for picking Euro, actually. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we're gonna actually start this off with the split screen, just so y'all get to enjoy it. We're gonna be on board with the new car,
the Buckley car. Not sure if that's a poke at Lingo for his World Tour team earlier in stage 1. I believe afterwards it was someone else. But either way,
that was Lingo and Buckley, actually. So it's a perfect car for him to be in.
Yep. Well, Lingo is nowhere to be seen. He's down in fourth place, and North is actually the one up in the lead. Not too far behind, not too much time separating them, but thus far it's Neal and North fighting for that first place spot.
And a really good start for North. Doesn't surprise me because of the fact that North, for the first 5 maps, was currently holding world record for, I believe, for a little while. He is definitely prepared going into this match and overall the tournament, as you can see him getting right through there and starting off the match with a 52.5. That is a really nice time, and that is a way to start it off.
Yeah, very fast time there from North. And again, reminder that Lingo and Neal both earned their way here from the upper bracket final. Charles and North had to earn their way back through the lower bracket. Just one match, but still, that's a lot of extra playing. They've been going basically nonstop since close to 2 hours ago now, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, right. We gotta change the stream title. You keep yapping your lips. I'm gonna do something.
All right. Well, right now we have Lingo up in the front battling it out with Neal, but everyone's really close, within about a tenth of each other. Lingo, however, pulling away a little bit from the pack, manages to keep the gear well enough. I don't think anyone's going to drop the gear at this juncture, at least I'd hope not, because this is for all the marbles, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final match. Lingo keeping it clean. I really don't see anyone challenging him here. This is going to be him taking first place in this round, and a much-needed 10 points after it. Tragic third place in the previous round. I'm sure tragic if you ask him. Either way, Charles is a little bit in the mud for these past couple rounds. He's been getting last place both times around. So he's fallen a bit behind. North is still in the lead for the time being, but Lingo's right there, only 2 points away. And realistically, we're so early in this series that it doesn't matter. Everyone's within striking distance of each other. You just need one good round, and you're back into the fray. Now, give that a couple more rounds and that might be a bit different, but North really come into play right now. He bonks a little bit, but he doesn't get too much of an acceleration penalty, so he's up in the lead in front of Lingo by just a little bit.
Also, I just want to remind everyone as well that this is, because this is the grand finals, we are playing to 140 points now, so ignore the 1, chat. It's just up to 140 points. So a little bit more for first places you're going to need to get before you can touch that finalist. And we're playing for a lot of marbles You know, just as a reminder, we do have a prize fund that you can donate to, and currently, whoever wins this, whoever gets first place, will walk away with 255 US dollars. So, again, someone in Charles' position from Colombia, where the American dollar is worth more, he's walking away with even more money. If you really think about it.
Relatively speaking, sure enough. And speaking of Charles, he's a little bit in the mud. Speaking of mud, Neal also hits the wall there. So Charles probably not going to be getting last place in this round. L1ngo, however, because of his performance in the previous round, did overtake North by just a little bit, but they're neck and neck thus far.
L1ngo just really showing the amount of power that he can put into a game. Being able to hold up in front. I mean, it's been back and forth, like you said, neck and neck between him and North. North, you know, a lot of people have been kind of going back and forth saying it's going to be either L1ngo or Neal, but North is just like, hey, don't forget about me right now. I'm in this match, you know? So good for him to be able to really contest and a 0.003 of a second between L1ngo and North. I'm very curious because this was Neal's pick. And he is currently in third place. And now we're going to move on to Yoru, which was L1ngo's pick. Excuse me. And now L1ngo, again, is known to... He does a lot of full pushes, you know, full risk. And it has and has not worked in his benefit. So I'm very curious about how he's going to be able to play this next round. He is currently in the lead, so it's one of those questions... I mean, Akronator, you're also a competitor. Do you push now? Do you really try to extend that lead? Or do you just kind of cruise it? You know, if you get second place, it's not a big deal. What do you think?
At this level, you kind of have to push to an extent. If you start making mistakes, then just go for consistency. I think then you go for those second, third places maybe. But in his position, if you can pull a Carl Jr. and just get, you know, 30, 40 points ahead of everyone else, I think it's worth it.
I would agree with you, actually. Especially because you know how good your competitors are when you're going into these matches. You know any one of these other players can just pop off. I mean, right now, Charles is in fourth place with 13 points. But one win, that it could allow him to jump over Neal. Right? So it's one of those things where you're not always safe, at least not for a while. So we'll have to see how that's going to go. Let's hop into the duo screen, and we're going to have L1ngo on one side, and we're going to have North on the other, so you can see who the person picks.
Oh, the horn.
We're going to go to Charles instead, who also makes a little mistake. We're going to go to Neal instead.
Well, it's L1ngo and Neal up in the front. That was kind of the expected result because they are the two that won it out in the upper bracket finals. However, Neal hasn't been having the best of time on way back. Seems to be doing a little bit better this time around. Charles and North a little bit further behind, closer to a second, give or take. L1ngo, however, keeping it really stable in that first place spot. He's really pushing for it now.
Ooh, Neal! Ooh. He really did push that line. I saw it. I knew he was just trying to go for that inside line. He had to make that call. You're in that position. I respect it because in reality, you know you're falling behind. You're not that close to first place. I mean, if L1ngo wins this one, he extends his lead by a lot, and that's exactly what just happened because L1ngo is going to jump up to 44 points while Neal is only going to be up to 25, 23. I can do my math. I thought it was 8 points. I keep forgetting it's 10 and 6 points. Like, that's how crucial it is, the difference between first and second.
Yeah, well, you got to be rewarded for getting that first place spot. You know, you got to make it worth these competitors' time. Otherwise, we're just going to be here forever. But either way, I mean, L1ngo is starting to pull ahead, like you said. And actually, we don't have any two competitors in the same 10-point margin. For the time being, that might change after this round, but it's getting a bit dicey here for people like Charles and even for Neal, who got first place in the upper bracket round to earn the first finalist position. Right now he is in first place. North pulling up the rear. If there wasn't a reason already to not play with cars on, there probably is one now. I'm not sure if they're going to be caught off guard by that horn. However, they're probably 2 in the zone for L1ngo. Keeping that first place spot. Neal crashes at the very end. Maybe Charles
Charles
takes,
does take it. What the?
oh,
Good round.
no.
Yikes, man. You hate to see that. You hate to see that, but, you know, it happens.
One of those moments where you just like sharply inhale and it takes you a moment for your brain to register what just happened.
It takes a little bit longer for me to get my brain to register what happened, as you saw how long it took me to respond, you know. But anywho, and Charles has been definitely struggling a little bit. He's starting to fall behind. L1ngo, L1ngo is, I didn't even say his name and he crashed, but unfortunately
That was
for
actually
Neal.
Neal.
I know. Neal was the one who made the mistake, but yeah, no, I mean, now Charles is up in front. This is exactly what he needed. He needs to be up there. He needs to start getting into that first and second position to kind of claw back, because L1ngo is starting to run away with this one. And as a reminder, it does go to 140. 140, not 41, chat. And Charles is going to be trying to go for that really risky line. Yeah, he tried to go wide, but it doesn't work out for him. Unfortunately, L1ngo is still going to be up in front, but a 0.116 difference. Not bad. Not bad. We take those.
If I'm not mistaken as well, yesterday, like late last night, L1ngo actually got either a PB or like a new world record on Yoru. This stream just caught up to Neal's crash this round, but I could definitely see why L1ngo wanted to play this map. He's doing really well on it last night in practice rounds, so I mean, why not?
We saw another problem mistake happening out from Neal. So
he's going to be falling behind Charles soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, Charles is just creeping up, and to see him in second place again, it's literally a replay of last match right now, as L1ngo is up in front, Charles following behind, and again, North just a few milliseconds behind.
Charles is getting a little bit better speed out of the exit of that sausage turn. He will be able to steal that first place away, but L1ngo certainly doesn't want to give it away. He's taking very sharp lines here. He wants to steal it back. I'm not sure if he's going to have the speed necessary. There's not enough track remaining. He's not going to pull a Neal and crash the finish, but Neal is also 16 seconds behind. I don't think he's going to get points for this.
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's the hardest part about this, is that you still need to finish, you know? And when you just kind of fall out of rhythm like that, you got to bounce back quickly, because now you just let go of free 3 points. So not only are you starting to fall behind, but you just like, you know, you didn't fall back on your butt. You tumbled backwards. And that's what you want to try to avoid. So we'll see. We'll see how Neal can respond. I mean, Neal does a really good job on this map. Ironically, he says it's one of the easiest maps, and hopefully we'll see what he can do.
Well, it's time to put his money where his mouth is, I suppose. Or I guess put the tournament's money where his mouth... I don't know. Either way, we're going to see that in about a minute or so, if Neal can prevent the downward spiral, because he's now in 4th place. Even Charles managed to overtake him. It's not looking too hot for who was the first seed coming into this. Right? It's so difficult to bring back that momentum, whereas North is still doing really well. L1ngo is just running away with it. He's almost 25, 24 points ahead of the next closest person. So I mean, North needs to win like multiple rounds to have a chance of catching up to him, and also L1ngo would have to fail quite a bit more. Is Neal driving the track backwards? He is. Okay.
He's going the cut route. A very, very, very long cut route. Yeah, we're gonna
it's
start
certainly not a shortcut.
Yeah, definitely not. We're gonna start this match off with Neal, and we're gonna start it with North. We're gonna put on that split screen, Ama's favorite split screen, and throw it up there. Neal again does play this map really well, and I believe for a while North had the world record. But L1ngo is the first one up in front now. Oh, but Neal!
Oh, no.
No!
Downward spiral continues.
I guess the caster curse has come alive as Neal makes a huge mistake. I can't even say whether or not he is tired or because he didn't have to play as many matches. But that also could be a thing. Like, a lot of people talk about whether or not playing a lot of matches is good or bad. You start to get tired. But at the same time, sometimes you just get, like, you need more game time to really get yourself going. So, not really sure how to go about it.
It could literally just be a situation where he started off a little bit shaky, and then it's hard to undo that, right? I mean, Neal, if I'm not mistaken, he's only like 18 years old. He's pretty darn young. That that doesn't give for a lot of experience, as opposed to some of like the pros in TMGL, TMCL, where they have a lot of composure. They can crash one round and then drive world record the next. That being said, Neal is up in first place. He's not making the same mistake this time around, and he's looking pretty good. So I think we can tentatively say that he's shaken off the jitters of grand finals and is looking to claw his way back.
Yeah. All right, Amma, how about this one? I think that's a little nicer, no? Charles all the way back and forth, though, but really trying to work his way into this one. Oh, we see one go, and that was L1ngo, who flew away as he clipped the inside of that grass. Again, you can really push that inside of that grass, and that can happen. But unfortunately for L1ngo, clipping the inside of that grass, and he is out of there for this one.
Well, Neal got a much needed 10 points. It's going to get him a little bit closer to Charles, but you can see like the point differential. He's still 8 points behind. So he's still got a little bit clawing left to go, but he's certainly not out of it. L1ngo's only slightly over half of the way to finalist right now. So there's plenty of room for comebacks in this.
Ooh, man. The exit speed coming out of L1ngo. Where is this coming from? All the way up in front already. He started a little bit shaky. But now, whoa, Charles!
Whoa,
No!
yeah, no,
He
saw
goes
that
out.
coming.
Yeah. Fortunately, really tried to push that one, but he went a little bit too inside and could not land properly. So now L1ngo is going to be running up ahead. Oh, and we saw North ends up clipping the inside of that wall as well. But Neal is coming out of nowhere. L1ngo saw like he had a lot of space, but there's a bit of distance of checkpoints there. But North still, Neal was able to almost clutch that one, 96 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, certainly. But Neal definitely clawing his way back into this. He looks a lot better. He looks much improved over the past couple of rounds. I think whatever he needed to do to get his head in the right space, he's definitely done it. And hopefully no more crashes. I personally love to see closer games. I know these players would love to just steamroll the opposition, but that doesn't seem to be the case outside of maybe L1ngo, who's he got his moments of just pure dominance thus far this series.
And as you said that, unfortunately, I think Charles snagged the pole during that downward drift, and Neal ends up making a big mistake too. So just like that, we got the battle up in front. L1ngo up in front, not pushing it too hard. Whoa, okay, the second one, but still works it out. Still works out for him. That was
North's horn. You can hear off in the distance coming up to him. North is sneakily doing pretty darn good. Like, he's still a good distance away from L1ngo's points, literally 33 points, but he's a decent distance away from Charles and from Neal still.
Can we also just talk about the fact that L1ngo also just dropped a 49.5 on that map?
Just casually, yeah, I know what you mean. You just come to expect it, and sometimes you get desensitized to how ridiculous these times are that they're driving.
Yeah, and I mean the funny part is leading up to this week. If anyone was watching my stream, Lingo gave us a little bit of a karaoke time. And apparently, Lingo plays without audio. For anyone that did not know, he has no game audio, and instead he blasts music and sings along with it.
That would make a lot of sense when I popped into voice chat last night at like midnight. Yeah, okay. Well, it's working for him because he's 41 points away from finalist. And the next closest is less than half of the way to finalist. So, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, we were asked for a pause, and it looks like Neal had to run off and do something real quick. Funny enough, last time I hosted a tournament and Neal was in the finals, he had to do the same thing. He had to run off to go to the bathroom, and it just seems that it's a finals curse for him. Every time we're ready to go and the match is going, dude's got to run off somewhere. Busy man. But, I mean, like, if we really just go over what's going on right now, the fact that we saw Lingo and we saw North just taking off, right? They were just killing it at the beginning. And then all of a sudden, Neal and Charles started to wake up a little bit, and they started to play a little bit better. And it's insane how the map can really, really conduct who is going to be the victor. I mean, right now we are on Artificer, which is Charles' pick. Now, mind you, Charles only had 2 maps to pick. He had Artificer or he had E squared. I don't blame him for the choices that he made, seeing that we were stuck with that. All right, we're gonna start this one again. Everyone's driving around. Match is starting. Here we go.
Well, if there was ever a time for Charles to hop back into it, at the very least, overtake North in the standings, it would be on his own map pick. Like you said, though, he didn't have a ton of options, so who knows whether this is actually the one he would have chosen anyways.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to what maps North and Charles would have picked if they were up in front. If they were the first and second seed. Ooh, what the heck happened? Charles got a random slowdown. Oh, he did. I did not see that. I was looking at the other screen with Neal and Lingo battling it up in the front while CheeseLover is trying to catch up in any way possible.
You do have North actually losing the gear in that uphill, but it looks like Lingo clipped somewhere, so he might be able to challenge for that second place. Neal is just miles ahead of everyone else. He's, unless there's going to be a finish fail, which I mean, he bugged it, but he got in well enough with over half a second to spare, so all's well that ends well for Neal. He is clawing his way back in, and well, Lingo still a bit in the mud because it actually got 4th place. Wow.
Yeah, no, Lingo made a big mistake at the end, and unfortunately had to he ended up banging a wall and had to pretty much walk his way, bleeding from the mouth as he goes into the finish line. But yeah, you're right. That allows Neal to start working his way up, and it looks like Charles ends up making a big mistake. Not really sure exactly what happened back there, but unfortunately, he falls out of this one. So it will be just the 3 of them going at it up in front. Lingo and North battling back and forth. Neal is just trying to find any open gap he can to get inside. Lingo, ends up clipping the checkpoint, so he's going to be out of there, and that's going to allow Charles to start trying to creep his way back, but with a plus 2 seconds. I'm not sure if that's going to ever actually happen. North falling a little bit behind Neal as Neal does a good job in that dirt. It sounds like Lingo is not too far behind, but unless someone makes a drastic mistake here in the end, Neal just needs to concentrate through this one. He does, and able to get through that one, and Charles is going to finish this one up. Unfortunately, falling way behind. It is not looking good for Charles right now. He is starting to really lose that gap between him and Neal. And again, we are playing for an increased prize pool. Everyone has a chance to make a little bit more money. There's a difference between 4th and 3rd right now, and it's a $50 difference. Charles, if he cannot get up anymore, he's only going to walk away with $50 American dollars. Well, third place will be at $100, so big difference.
Who just died? Someone,
It looked
Neal.
like Neal.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It is worth noting that the first 2 rounds of this map, he drove within 200ths of his own time. It was 0.925, you can see in the top left, and it was 0.945 in the round just prior to this one. This is going to be Charles' chance, however, to claw his way back in if he can keep that first place spot. I think North is right behind him, a few tenths away, but he does lose the gear again. He seems to have some trouble with that. That's going to give potentially Neal and L1ngo both an opportunity to steal second place away. Who knows? I don't think they quite have the speed anymore, so I think the positions are going to stay as is.
Charles!
No shot.
Oh,
No
that
shot.
one hurts so much. Oh, that is an ain't no way. That is a huge ain't no way. You had such a lead, and to just let it go by slamming into a wall. He didn't even have to risk it. He was fine. He had so much speed already. He had so much, like, he had the big gap between him and second place, and still Kyle finds a way to ruin another TM player's dreams.
No. That's tragic. Someone clip that one, please. I didn't even realize it until I was watching North's perspective. I was like, wait, Charles is getting a lot closer than he should. It's like, oh, okay, he's not in the finish yet. This is not good. I think he's coming out for a vengeance, though, because he's in third place with a lot of speed. He's looking to challenge all the way up into first. Everyone's keeping it relatively close, but L1ngo and Neal up in first.
Oh, man. It's good to bounce back, though. Ooh, I think I saw North ends up slamming into that the wall. Yep, North is going to be out of that one, unfortunately. But can we, like, wow, 1/100th of a second difference between Neal and L1ngo. But it won't matter point-wise. 10 points still goes to Neal. And Neal is working his way back up into second place. He was falling behind pretty badly, but just to constantly grind his way up, he is looking really good. Moving into this next map. This is the 5th map, E2, made by our very own Ski Freak. The man, the myth, the legend, who makes the craziest maps out there available for you to play.
If he wasn't making the players hate their existence on this map, then would it really be a Ski Freak map?
True. Very true. And I gotta say, we're gonna be going into this one. I will be going into a split screen, and I really want to watch Neal and L1ngo because the reality is this is a really good map for the two of them. They both are very good at, like, high stakes, hard challenging, high risk, high reward kind of maps, because they both know how to push really hard. But that's what makes it a little scary, is that they both push very hard, and that's going to end up potentially costing them. Luckily, that was just a warm-up. Like you saw right there, Neal didn't make that turn. That could happen. Any little thing can happen. There are so many spots to clip or bonk into a wall or hit a pole or, I don't know, do something weird, you know, do the Macarena in the middle of it, because this map just really tests you on what you can do at such a high speed.
Well, this time for real, if L1ngo wins all 4 rounds, or technically gets second place and then wins the other 3, he could be finalist by the end of this map. It's a bit of a tall ask because this map is Ski Freak map, but it is possible mathematically, and he's the only one who could be finalist by the end of this.
Yeah, just as exactly as he said. As a reminder for anyone, because this is the grand finals, it goes up to 140 points now to get finalist, where every other round it was 120. Ooh, Charles really working his way in, goes for that inside line, but unfortunately does not have the exit speed that the other 3 do have. Ooh, a really nice dirt line from North, allowing him to keep that speed and stay up front. But then it happens. He turns a little too sharp, unfortunately, and bonks out. So that's going to throw him back into 4th place. Charles
is L1ngo coming back up in the first?
Oh, Neal ends up making a big mistake. He ends up clipping his wheel a tiny bit against that wall, so that's going to allow L1ngo to get there. And now even Charles is trying to fight his way into second place. He's just battling back and forth, but he gets an awkward turn going into that one. And that's going to be Neal who gets second place. L1ngo running away with that one. Nicely done by him. So that is 1 of 4 first places he needs to hit that finalist.
L1ngo just went from 4th place to 1st. From like an early bonk all the way up to a pretty hefty 1st place spot. It's just ridiculous. I guess, can we just call that pulling a L1ngo nowadays? Because the comeback is just consistent with him when the pressure's on. I mean, he doesn't even need 2 firsts and a second. He needs 2 firsts and a third in order to get up 2 finalists. So he has a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, well, Neal certainly doesn't. He has a pretty nasty crash there, so that's going to be him way down in 4th spot.
Yeah, Neal went flying. Oh, North ends up touching the wall. So now Charles and L1ngo. This is Charles' moment. This is seriously what he needs. He needs to get a 1st place. He has to get that if he wants to try to pull back in this tournament, because right now, unfortunately, makes another tag on the wall. But right now, he's the only person that is not within range of hitting 100 points this round. Really trying to push this one. Goes for the really inside line. L1ngo does it cleanly. So does Charles, and North will follow. And Neal is the only one. Neal.
He's taking his 15 seconds of fame.
Even I even think he thought, he was like, wait, I'm not gonna make it. He just yeah, so it's good.
L1ngo needs what?
4 points.
3rd place.
Yeah, so correct. If L1ngo gets 4th place, he needs 1 more round.
Which would be hilarious, but also tragic for him.
Yeah, but right now he's up in front. Like I said, this is a map where if neither L1ngo or Neal make a mistake, this could be easily their map. And as I said that, there he goes again. Neal makes another mistake. L1ngo makes a mistake. Now this is a chance for Charles to really make a push. He has to stay in front. He needs these 10 points to get himself in the 90s. North is just behind him. If North gets that, he's going to get himself up nicely in that 100 position. So at this point, he's got to really push this one. Charles is doing a good job, really starting to break away from the rest of the pack, but slows down a little bit more in that dirt than I think he wanted. So North had a chance to catch back up, but Charles is still doing a good job. Again, goes for more of that inside turn. It's scary because you can clip your wheel. Still works out for him. He was starting to lose speed, but he made it work out for himself. So Charles is now at 90 points, and that's a 90 points he really needs, because we're going to be starting back at the top with kickback.
I would also like to point out that L1ngo is zooming at those final 2 checkpoints. The split between him and first was 0.5 to 0.3. So he was catching up fast. If that was like 1 block further, he might have been able to snipe away that 2nd place. Also worth noting, L1ngo is finalist. There's a chance for him to end it right here and now. Yep. He could be walking away with, I don't know, however many dollars. Randomized is a better idea of that, but
I mean, currently it's $255. I don't know if anyone donated any more money to the prize fund that they can donate to in the NCSA Discord. But yeah, no, they it's still a pretty good amount of money, especially because I believe the North American dollar, or excuse me, the United States dollar is still worth a little bit more than Canadian dollar, if I remember correctly.
Good amount more, yeah.
Yeah, so that's still a lot more money when you win. I mean, I remember I had a team once that competed in Canada, and when I saw how much money we actually made in American, it hurt. Oh, speaking of hurting, and speaking of Canadian, L1ngo ends up making a mistake there, bonking out, and that's gonna be a rough one for him. He just needed this one. He could have closed this one out, but instead, right at the end, makes a mistake. Charles, just flipping around in the back end. I mean, morale's just definitely hurting. I feel for Charles right now. Morales are definitely hurting because he's been struggling, but he's still, again, he's in arm's reach. He's not far away. So if he could just kind of rebound himself, it could be really good. Oh, 330 Canadian dollar. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I win this and then go move to Canada? That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a significant. difference.
All right, Akinator. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this prize money. You know, actually, it's even worth in Colombia. So we're gonna get this prize money, and we're gonna go hang out with Charles. How about that?
I'm sure Charles would love to claim the prize money for himself, but he's got a little bit more clawing his way back into it. He clawed his way out of the mud. He was pretty far behind for a little while there, but he's really only a couple round wins away from getting a lot closer to that second place spot. I mean, you can see Neal technically in second right now, but North is only 2 points away from that. And of course, they're going to have to play spoiler L1ngo for a while, at least 3 rounds for Neal's sake.
Very true. So we'll see what happens, because this could be North's chance to actually really pull back. I mean, we saw it. North was playing insanely good on this map. So this could be his chance to start pulling back, start denying L1ngo from that finalist even more, that win even more. This is going to be a big moment for both Neal and North.
Certainly. Of course, Neal's going to have an easier path to get the finalists. He'd only need to win 3 times, but he gets a really awkward approach there into the grass turn, so he's down in last place for now. North battling it out with L1ngo for first place, doing a good job of staving off his Canadian competitor there. Doing well enough, keeping him at arm's length. L1ngo really wants it. You can tell he's hungry for this win. He wants to be done and over with right here, right now. Not quite shaken off North, however.
Oh, I saw that coming. No. Somehow he's still alive. But that's it! Oh! GG's, L1ngo, you are our first ever Pan American Trackmania Cup winner. You just secured yourself $255. American dollars at least. So congratulations to you, man. That's going to be some nice money in your pocket, especially because currently right now he can't even win his own money in World Tour, but that's another story for another day.
Logistics. Well, we'll worry about that later, or he'll worry about that. But either way, now it's the battle for second, and no one's finalist quite yet. No one's particularly close to finalists, and I don't think anyone can get finalists by the end of this map. I think it's close.
Oh yeah, that's right. L1ngo also, I think, called out of work today.
Oh,
yeah, so I think he did. So basically, he just made more money playing this game than he did going to work for a day. Probably. I don't know what his income was like, but yeah, like that just happened.
Oh,
Charles! Oh, Charles!
Like, whoa, Charles! Where did he come from?
Really playing that inside line, but it didn't matter. Wow. Are you kidding me? North, wow. Where did that speed come from? Charles went flying ahead. But then at that very last second, somehow, North was able to pull out he pressed B for boost at that point, man. Like,
Charles in the in-game chat, you. Oh god.
he straight out pressed B for boost for that one. That was kind of insane how that just happened.
Oh dear. Well, North. A little bit in the mud, very in the mud. Never mind, he's in third place. He's getting the 4 points. Just wrap it up there. It's between Neal and Charles now. Charles dangerously close to clipping the outside wall there. And the drift does.
Oh, you had to say it. You said clip, and he said when.
He said when. Oh, well, he's not out of it yet. Neal is not astronomically far ahead, but he's still about half a second ahead. There's opportunities to clip. But it's really on Charles to find that extra speed. Press B for boost again.
Or B for DNF. But yeah, no, that's going to be a Neal round. And you know what? Neal definitely needed that. He needs to kind of jump back. But at the same time, the stupid car. Charles, he's starting to reel it in. He's starting to reel it in. And that's important because he's 2 first places away from pretty much kind of catching up. Obviously, the other 2 will get points as well, but he can catch up. But right now, North and Neal are 1 point all from each other and also about 1 to 2 wins away from getting finalists.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely close between the two front runners, both in points and in this round right now. They're less than a tenth away from each other now, a little bit more, as Neal's getting a slightly better line, but you can see they're neck and neck. Charles pulling up the rear just a little bit. Still an opportunity to catch up, but he's running out of time, running out of track to do so. Coming into the exit, does anyone go for an inside approach? North does, but he clips just a tiny bit. Charles is a little bit closer to that second place. And Neal will go up into the first place for the remaining players in points.
So as long as he finishes one round, doesn't matter what place he's in, he will get finalist mode. CheeseLover can also get finalist mode next round by just at least getting second place. So Charles just needs to get in first. He just needs to constantly get first place at this point.
Just win, forehead, obviously.
Yeah, I wish.
Easier said than done. Believe me on that one. But yeah, he's gonna have about a minute to warm up on Yoru. Not exactly the easiest map to deal with. We saw basically everyone crash the last time we were here this match, let alone at all today. So.
And of course, the person who picked this map is the one who already won, so he just gets to sit back and watch other people play it.
He gets to laugh at the suffering he's now caused.
Exactly.
The onus is on Charles.
I also am not 100% sure what the settings are, but I think that once the second place person is declared, I think from there it instantly ends too. So even if Charles can't get finalists or whatever, it would be really good for him to push just to, I don't know, maybe jump. I don't know how it would work. To pray that North just messes up a lot and Charles keeps getting first place. Like, that's all I could really say, because if I remember correctly of the settings, whoever does get second place, that's it. We don't do like we've been doing with the consolation third, fourth place. So here we go. We're going into this one, potentially 2, maybe 3 more rounds left of PATC.
Everyone neck and neck thus far. North going for a very inside approach on that reactor turn. Everyone keeping it rather stable right up until the bonk there. So it's going to be Charles versus Neal. Again, Neal just needs to finish in order to get into the finalist spot. So he's really only looking to deny people from getting extra points. And actually, if North gets third place, he does not get finalist this round. And that's pretty large for Neal.
Yeah, and Neal needs to make sure that he can even try to shut down Charles from getting a chance of getting first place. Because one, you don't want him to have those points, even though he ends up making the mistake there. You don't want him to get those points to start reeling himself back in. And two, you don't want to give him that morale booster. You don't want to give him that moment of, like, glimpse and hope. And that's exactly what Charles is getting right now, as he's going to get first place and jump up to 123 points. L1ngo will, in fact, go into finalist mode. And unfortunately for North, he's still got a round to go till he gets finalist mode.
L1ngo's been out of finalist mode for a little while now, but Neal will, in fact, be in finalist. And yeah, North just needs to finish this round in order to get into finalist himself, but he really wants to beat Neal, or he really wants Charles to beat Neal, but he wants to beat Neal himself, because that would imply that he gets first place.
Right, exactly. I mean, at this point, both players just want to get Neal out of here. So it doesn't matter what it is, but unfortunately, Charles ends up bumping into the wall really badly there. So he is pretty much out of this one, and it's looking like Neal will be able to walk away with this one. He just needs to he just needs to drive properly. North trying to get in his mind, hoping that Neal will pop open Ghost for a second while he's honking away at him, but it doesn't seem to be working, as Neal is looking to be our second PATC. He takes the silver medal. Excuse me. Congratulations, Neal, for taking second place in our first ever PATC event.
L1ngo is our champion. Neal is the reserve champion, and we'll get to see if we actually
Oh, we do get to play
get
it.
to play for third. Okay, so we're still going. Charles needs to win a couple more rounds in order to close it out in third place. North just needs to win right now. Now, Charles has not been having the best of times on this map, and I'm not sure if we're guaranteed to close it out if Charles were to win everything for the remainder of this map. But it's worth noting that thus far today, Charles and North are 1-1. Charles got third place in the upper bracket finals. North got first place in the lower bracket finals. So it could be anyone's game. These players are very close to each other in skill level.
This is a rebuttal match between the two of them, and gotta love that. I love when a little bit of rivalries happen. Oh! I hear the horn going. That means that CheeseLover himself has made a mistake. And Charles again up in front, and Charles,
It's constant.
Charles can definitely run away with this one. He can for sure get finalist mode. I believe there's one more round, if I remember correctly, left in this one, and a new best time this round, a 1:08. Wow. Charles can hear it. He hears the horn. So Charles again needs 2 more rounds, and he has to come in first place both times. He cannot afford to let North win anything. So we were going to be sticking on the split screen so you could just see what's going on at all times. As now it looks like North is going to be the one fighting in the front. Charles will be the one chasing.
For the time being, Charles goes for a more inside approach.
Oh, no,
Plastic
he lost
does
the gear.
lose the gear. That will allow North to get a little bit further ahead, but not unsalvageable for Charles.
No!
That is very much unsalvageable. He has to fully respawn. North is going to be seeing that in a split, assuming he plays with any amount of UI on. And he
Quick,
can just
Charles,
take it
start honking your horn.
I think he's too far away for that to be heard. North doesn't even need to drive a good time anymore. He just needs to drive a time.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that happened. It's one of the things that drives me insane about Trackmania is that anything could be, like you can have all these insanely good rounds and then it could just be ruined by one little bonk, and that's it. But congratulations to North. GG's to both of them, as North will take third place in our first ever PATC, and it has been a really fun time doing this, working with the players, working with you, Acronator, and the other casters, running the broadcast. It has been a lot of fun just being able to do all this, and I'm hoping that we will be able to really do PATC events more and more often, as well as just North Central South American NCSA events overall. I know personally I am planning on kind of a big event like this as well, so hopefully I will be able to get that out and going for y'all to enjoy. But Aggregator, you got any closing thoughts?
GG's to all the players. They put up a really good fight regardless of whether you got 26th in the qualifier or first place, of course. L1ngo, our champion again. And one quick note, and no, the tournament organizers did not tell me to say this, they didn't know I was going to say this, but given the opportunity to close it out here, I want to make sure that we all show appreciation to all of the tournament admins, to Randomized, Nats, of course CD doing a lot of behind the scenes work, especially on that first day of qualifiers. I know he was probably sweating bullets, and it is not unnoticed, and it is very much appreciated to get more events like this for the NCSA region. So chat, be sure to give your feedback, and especially your thanks to all of the admins here at the PATC event.
Yeah, no, and really big shout out and a thank you as well for all the casters that stepped in. They came in and volunteered for it. So thank you, Jojo. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Shicely. And Acronator, thank you as well for coming in and casting. It's been an honor. It's been fun. You guys have been able to really drive the story for our players. And thank you to all the players who did come out, who came and played. And, it was a lot of fun. We had a big crowd. And hopefully just from here on, we could just keep growing the scene and getting more and more players involved in the NCSA region. And hopefully at some point these events will help us all work on dominating the actual pro scene one day. So we'll see what happens. And finally, thank you to you guys, the viewers, who came out and supported and watched. It's been a lot of fun, whether or not you're making fun of me and the way I do my productions or the way I talk, or or Kyle coming in and just having fun destroying people's dreams with everything, whatever it is. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you very much for watching. Congratulations one more time to L1ngo for being our first ever PATC champion. And congratulations to the rest of the players who also got 2nd through 4th. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, he is Acronator. I am Randomized. This is the final time. We are getting out of here, and we will see you all at the next event. Good night.